You're 19. You're on your knees in a freight container in Pascagoula, Mississippi, grinding spatter off a hull plate, and the slag burn on your forearm from yesterday hasn't scabbed yet. You make $18.34 an hour. You're 47. You're standing on the dock at Port Fourchon, Louisiana, signing a contract for $1.8 million to your fab shop on a 48 slip jacket job for an oil company you used to clean bathrooms for. In between, 430,000 American welders go to work. The average one is 55 years old. For every 5 who retire, 2 replace them. In between, your first marriage ends in a parking lot. You lose 30% of the cartilage in your right shoulder. Your son learns to weld on your old Lincoln 225 because you couldn't afford college for him. This is every level of a welder's life. Level 1, entry level. You're 16. You're at the regional vocational school in Southern Ohio because guidance counseling told your mom you weren't a 4-year college kid. Tuition is $4,800. Your mom signs the federal Pell Grant form on the kitchen counter. You graduate at 18 with an AWSD 1.1 plate certification. That's structural steel, flat position. It's the floor. It gets you in the door. Your first job is at a job shop in Findlay, welding handrails for stairwells. You make $18.50 an hour. That's $38,480 a year if you hit your 40s every week. The bottom 10% of welders in the country make $38,130 a year. You are the bottom 10%. Week 1, you don't weld. You grind. You cut coupons off scrap plates so the foreman can test your stringer bead. You sweep slag. You learn that a stinger is the electrode holder. A puddle is the molten metal under the arc. A bead is what you leave behind. Bird poop is what you leave behind when you don't know what you're doing. Week 3, you weld for the first time on production. You stick a 7018 rod to a piece of A36 channel, and the foreman walks over, doesn't say anything, just snaps it loose with pliers and hands it back to you. Week 6, a piece of slag gets between your boot and your sock. You don't stop, you finish the bead, you walk to the bathroom. There's a black divot the size of a pencil eraser burned into the top of your foot. You buy a pair of Iron Age welding boots that night on Amazon for $89. You'll burn through 4 pairs in 3 years. Month 4, the foreman moves you off handrails onto trailer frames. That's a 50-cent raise. You go home and tell your girlfriend it's the best news you've ever had. Level 2, mid-entry. You're 22. You get a 6G pipe certification at a community college in Tulsa for $4,200 out of pocket. 6G means you can weld pipe at a fixed 45-degree angle. It simulates every position at once. It's the test that separates fab welders from pipe welders. You pass it on the 3rd try. You move to a fab shop in Beaumont, Texas, doing carbon steel pipe for refineries. You make $26 an hour straight time, $39 over 40 hours. Median welder in America makes $24.52 an hour. You are now median. Top 10% of welders make $36.47 an hour. You can see them across the shop. They're the guys with the X-ray cards. Your body is in a position now. 6 hours a day crouched over a pipe joint with your right wrist twisted to keep the stinger at 30 degrees. 2 hours a day overhead, neck back, slag falling on your shoulders. You buy a Lincoln Viking 3350 auto darkening hood for $389 because the Harbor Freight one was giving you arc eye twice a month. Arc eye is photokeratitis. It feels like sand in your eyes for 24 hours, and there's nothing you can do but lie in the dark. You buy a pair of Tillman elkskin stick gloves, $42. You buy leather sleeves, $35. You buy a flame-retardant FR jacket from Carhartt, $189. You buy a respirator because you're welding stainless now, and they told you about hexavalent chromium in the safety briefing. The OSHA permissible exposure limit is 5 micrograms per cubic meter, and your shop runs 3 to 4 times that on a bad day. You buy a 3M AdFlow PAPR setup for $1,400 on a personal credit card. Your slang is fluent now. You walk the cup on TIG route passes. You whip your 7018 on the cap. You know what a tombstone is. That's the old Lincoln AC 225 buzzbox your dad had in his garage. You know what a dingleberry is. You know what a meat hand is, and you know you're not one yet. You know what a drinking hand is, and you know 2 of them at the shop. The X-ray inspector fails one of your welds. He shows you the film. There's a 3 mm inclusion at 4 o'clock on a 6-inch joint. The whole pipe gets cut out. You spend the rest of the shift grinding bevels for the redo. You don't say anything to the inspector. You say to the guy next to you, "I had it." He doesn't look up. He says, "Everybody had it." Level 3, lead hand/foreman. You're 27. You're a lead hand in a structural steel shop in Fort Worth. You make $32 an hour, $66,560 a year base, plus overtime that puts you at $84,000. You have 6 guys under you. 2 of them are 19. One is 51 and has been welding since you were in diapers and resents every word out of your mouth. One of them is a meth head, and you both know it, and neither of you say it. You stopped welding 8 feet of pipe a day. You weld 3 feet of pipe a day now. The other 5 hours you're checking fit up, signing off on heat numbers, reading WPS sheets, walking the floor. Your first wife leaves in May. The argument is the same argument welders' wives have been having since 1948. You're never home, you smell like burnt metal, your hands are too rough to touch her face, you came home with a quarter-sized burn on your neck from a piece of spatter and didn't even mention it. She files. The divorce costs you $14,000 and your truck. Your back went out the first time at 26. The orthopedist calls it L4 to L5 disc compression with mild stenosis. He gives you a script for Flexeril and tells you to lift with your legs. You laugh in the parking lot. You buy a back brace at Walgreens for $34 and 800 milligram ibuprofen by the bottle of 500 for $19. Your right rotator cuff catches now when you raise your arm above shoulder height. The shop nurse says, partial thickness supraspinatus tear. Get an MRI. You don't get the MRI because the deductible is $3,400 and you owe your ex $1,200 a month. Your shop superintendent walks the floor on a Tuesday in October, stops at your bay, looks at the column splice you just finished, says 3 words. "That's a good weld." Walks away. You think about it for 2 weeks. Level 4, shop manager. You're 36. You're the shop manager at a 14,000 square foot fab shop in Houston that does pressure vessels for the petrochemical industry. You make $98,000 a year base, plus a 12% bonus tied to gross margin on closed jobs. Last year, your bonus was $11,200. Year before, $4,400. Year before that, nothing. You missed margin by 2.1 points, and the owner ate the loss. You don't weld anymore. You haven't struck an arc in 11 months. You sign POs. You read AWSD 1.1, ASME Section 9, API 1104. You walk the welders through the WPS for every new job. You take procedure qualification samples to the third-party lab in Pasadena and wait on tensile results. The numbers run in your head all day. Steel is $1,180 a ton, up 8% from spring. Your COGS on a 6-inch Schedule 80 pipe spool, fitter welded and x-rayed, runs 62% of the line item. Your labor as a percentage of revenue has to stay under 28% or the job loses money. Your shop runs 53 billable hours per welder per week on a good week. You need 56. The ASME audit comes in March. 2 inspectors from a Houston firm walk the shop for 3 days. They pull WPS files. They watch your TIG guy run a root pass on a 4-inch carbon spool. They find 1 nonconformance. Your fillet weld inspection log for January is missing 3 entries. The owner reads the report at 11:47 p.m. and emails you. The email is 1 line. "We can't have this again." You don't sleep that night. Your second wife asks, "What's wrong?" at 2 a.m. You say, "Nothing." You're staring at the bedroom ceiling, and what you're thinking is, if I miss margin again this year, I have to fire somebody. And the guy on the bubble is the meth head, who is now 30 and has 2 kids and was clean for 8 months last year and is trying again. Level 5, owner/fab shop. You're 41. You decide to open your own fab shop. The reason isn't ambition. The reason is you sat in the parking lot one Thursday and realized you'd made $14 million in pressure vessels for your boss in 5 years, and your bonus over that period totaled $46,000. Startup costs. A 5,000 square foot leased building in Channelview, Texas, $4,800 a month. $14,400 for first, last, and deposit. 2 Miller Dynasty 400 TIG machines at $9,200 each. One Lincoln PowerWave 455M at $7,800. Three Miller Multimatic 220 AC/DC at $2,495 each. A 60-ton ironworker at $42,000. An ESAB plasma table at $58,000. A Hyster forklift, used, $18,000. Welding tables, jigs, grinders, drill press, bandsaw, chop saw, racking, ventilation, fume extractors, $35,000. Initial steel inventory, $28,000. Insurance, 6 months, $14,400. Permits, EPA waste handling registration, EIN, LLC formation, attorney, $6,200. Working capital, 6 months, $90,000. You're at $295,000 before you turn a key. You go to a regional bank in Houston. They send you to the SBA. You apply for an SBA 7A loan for $250,000. The prime rate is 6.75%. They quote you prime plus 2.75%, 9.5% variable, 10-year term. Your payment is $3,233 a month for 120 months. Total interest over the life of the loan, $138,000. You put up your house as collateral. Your wife signs the personal guarantee at the closing table. She doesn't look at you while she signs. Failure rate for small fabrication businesses, roughly 20% in year 1, 50% by year 5. Year 1. You take 3 jobs. The first one, handrails for a parking garage in Pasadena. You bid at $34,000. You finish it for $39,200. You lose $5,200 cash and a week of sleep. You eat it. You pay your 2 welders $28 an hour, and you pay yourself $0 for 4 months. Year 2. You get a contract from a midstream gas company for $185,000 in pipe spools. You hire a 3rd welder. You make $42,000 personal income, $9,000 less than the bottom 10% BLS number for working welders. Your wife works 2 extra shifts a week at the hospital to cover the mortgage. Year 3. A petrochemical EPC firm out of Baton Rouge sends a project manager to your shop. He likes your weld map documentation. He likes that your QC binder is current. He likes that you answer the phone yourself. He gives you a $620,000 PO for a tank skid package. You finish it on schedule. He gives you another. Year 5. 5 welders, 2 fitters, 1 QC inspector. $2.4 million revenue. 14% net margin. You pay yourself $148,000 plus a $40,000 distribution. The SBA loan has $112,000 left on it. Year 7. $4.1 million revenue. 16% net margin. You buy the building you've been leasing for $740,000 with an SBA 504 loan at 6.85% fixed. Year 9. A larger fab company offers to buy you out for $3.2 million, cash and equity. You sign at the closing table in a law office in downtown Houston with 3 lawyers and a banker. You stay on as VP of operations for 2 years. You're 50 years old. Closer. You're 52. Your right rotator cuff has a full thickness tear on the supraspinatus. You had surgery in March, and the physical therapist tells you you'll get back to 85%. Your back has been fused at L4 to L5 since 2019. Your chest x-ray last year showed mild, diffuse interstitial fibrosis, siderosis from 23 years of inhaling iron oxide. Your hearing in your left ear is down 26 decibels from baseline. Your house in Sugar Land is paid for. Your daughter is a junior at Texas A&M studying chemical engineering. Your son is a journeyman pipe fitter in Beaumont, making $89,000 a year. Your wife retired from nursing at 53. You sit on the porch at 7:30 p.m. on a Tuesday in October. You can smell the refinery flare from 40 miles away when the wind is right. Your hands hurt at the knuckles. Your son texts you a photo of a root pass he ran at the shop. You zoom in. You write back, "Whip it tighter on the start." That's the trade. That's the bill. That's the welder's life.